Good evening, everyone, and welcome to MRC Tier 1 at a very damp and rainy Belgium here today. The Tier 1 Championship has all been decided, that's all wrapped up, so there's just pride on the line for these 20 drivers here right now, and we're going to see what they can do in some of the most difficult racing conditions. And I've got with me my teammate. He had a cracking race earlier, put me to shame. It is the one, the only Andrew Monster. Andrew, how are you doing tonight?
I'm not too bad, but you put me to shame over the season, though.
Well, yeah, a little bit of luck here and there, it does wonders, but yeah, it's not a bad season reflecting on it. I think I've done okay, maybe got a top 3 if that's okay, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the first is going to be out on track tonight. Very wet conditions. It'll be interesting to see who can balance their setup. Who's going to go qualifying on a wet setup if the race is dry, or maybe we'll see a little bit of rain in the race as well. Let's just get everything up here. As I just get everything up, what's your opinions on the Spa track? Is it one that you look forward to?
It's easily one of my favourites on the calendar, and little special one for me in the heart for personal reasons, but it's one I enjoy.
What are those personal reasons? Is it just that? Is it one of your favourite tracks for a particular driver racing there, or is it one for you? You like to race it yourself?
Yeah, it's that, and I've got a lot of fun memories of it, including playing the games earlier on with, if I don't mind saying it, my late father, who's his favourite track himself was Spa, so it's got an added little extra sentiment to me.
Yeah, no, a lot of emotions always track with this track, so yeah, no, it'd be really nice to see. Hopefully everything goes well, and you're thinking of your dear dad as well. It's we will stay on board. Who are we going to stay on board with? We've got Nick VT, but he's on a pair of Inters, so his lap might be a little bit dodgy, so I'm going to stick on board with G-Star Snipes, and we will take you round a lap of this track. One of the longest on the calendar, I think the longest, so laps usually come in at around about 144, 43 we saw on a dry track. I think it'll be closer to 150, maybe 2 minutes if it's very, very wet out there. We'll see how they adapt to conditions, but we'll take you on a full lap of this track when G starts good and ready.
Yes, it's an interesting one, is this place. It's up there with Suzuka, this place, I feel, for a lot of drivers.
What, for like just the ease of drive and how fun it is to have a little race around it?
Oh, easy. It's just one of the places they just set up the car and you can just throw it around here. I think one of the more lower downforce setups they do along with Monza.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's all about straight line speed here, but we'll take you on a lap of the Spa circuit here with G-Star as we head down into turn 1. A very short start-finish straight, actually, and you're going to hook it into this hairpin. If you don't get it right, or if you get too much on the loud pedal, then you will get out. J-Sarge already out of the session, he won't be happy with that. Right, now we're into some of the most iconic corners here in the whole of F1. Eau Rouge, left and right, it's bumpy, it's off camber, it'll try and throw you into one of those walls. G-Star manages to keep it all lovely together, and then here we are down the Kemmel Straight. So many iconic moments here. One that comes to mind is Schumacher and Hakkinen going round a lapped car right at the end, but no traffic at the moment for G-Star. Yeah, that's it. Left, right, and then right again. We're into the more technical section of Spa. The first one's all about flat-out speed. This one's all about how much you can hook into the corners. G-Star going a little bit wide and right there. And this left-hander is all about how brave you can be. You don't want to lose it on the outside. That's an excellent lap hit. That's an excellent corner there. And it's all about keeping the speed into this left-hander. So easy to invalidate your lap by going too wide on the right or lose too much speed. If you're a little bit hesitant, there was no hesitancy from G-Star, then you're looking at about the 50 lap marker there. Hard on the brakes and just swing this in. This bit I can compare to Suzuka a little bit. It's all about sort of gear control and throttle control. Another place that you can lose the car on the left-hand side here if you decide to invalidate the lap. G-Star once again is on the right, little bit of a twitch there as he struggles to get the car on the traction right. But then you can relax a little bit, particularly in the dry and the wet. This is a different monster, but you're into one of the faster sections of the track. Just as Blanchimont here, you might have to lift slightly in the heavy wet. You can just hear G-Star doing that at the moment. Then we're into the bus stop chicane, hard on the brakes, one of the hardest braking zones of the entire track. And there's so many people, they can mess it up just on this last corner if you don't get it right, but Q-Star seems to have the traction down. Nick VT's gone past 159 in the Inters. What's Q-Star going to do on the wets? 159.8, so not much difference there actually between the two wet compounds of tyre. Maybe Nick VT took the right option to go on the Inters sooner rather than later.
Well, it depends as well how much fuel G-Star's going to have in the car, because with the wet setup, with the wet session, they'll be fueled up for at least probably about 5 or 6 laps, I reckon.
Yes, yeah, you want to sort of like adapt to the track. You might want to see if the track dries out in a couple of laps or not. Of course, Belgium is one of the longest tracks on the circuit. You can get maybe 2 runs in there. 3 would be a big ask around here. So, yeah, I wonder if you probably have to have a cool down lap just to recharge the battery a little bit. That's what I did, and I had just enough battery to get 2 quick laps in. I had to stay on board with Mark, though, who's in the Aston Martin for tonight. Of course, all our cars in F1 livery, F1 World cars, because we had a little problem where they decided to break the performance of the equal cars. So this is the fairest way that we can do it tonight.
Someone at EA pressed backspace again before the patch went live again, by the looks of it.
Yes, yeah, no, that is fine. 2 seconds. But just getting on the YouTube chat that they can hear a slight echo, and I can hear it in my headphones on my end. I don't know if you're able to turn your volume down at your end at all, Andrew, just so I don't come through. Oh, let's see if you come back. I'm going to talk. I can't hear myself now. We'll see. Otherwise, it'll be a very quiet comms. I think I've got a very, very faint echo now, but I think it might be a little bit better. It's just on...
Is that better?
That's better, I think. I need to speak. Yes, that's much better. Now I can speak and I can't hear myself coming back at me. So
yeah, it may have been me having my controller plugged in a little bit because I needed just to get the charge.
Ah, right, no, that's no problem. Well, fingers crossed the controller can last you the race. Oh, Mark going very wide there, a little bit of a twitch. And I would say those wet runners who came out, if you look at how much the rain is coming down now, that looks lighter to me. I think that Inters are the better choice, or going to be the better choice as this session develops.
Yes, I think... Let's have a quick look at what... Although LRL is on wets at the moment.
Oh yeah, and he's just gone quickest with a 158.59. Really interesting to see. Well, Ugoni is our championship leader. He's out at the moment. He's retired. Jaxter's retired. Calvin's retired. Sarge's retired. Eddie Duster's retired. Are we seeing lots of people trying to do a last to first challenge? Or are conditions just that bad right at the start that we've lost a lot of our quickest drivers?
I think it's the possibility of option A, personally.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It is that end of season, as I mentioned. The championship is done and dusted, so there is a little bit of an end of school theme here. I think we'll be seeing people, you know, going for some Banzai strategies, trying to go for maybe a few moves that they wouldn't normally race. Bergen power sliding there, doing his best Fast and Furious Vin Diesel impression through the bus stop chicane. Excellently managed to keep that pointing in the right direction there, actually. Did invalidate his lap, but it's only his out lap, and he is on to his quick one, so let's see what he can do. I'm trying to work out what car he's meant to be representing tonight. I think I'm going to guess the Alpha Tauri, I'm going to say.
Could be a Haas or a Mercedes, I believe.
Well, we've got numbers on a postcard there. Oh, Berger's just got... That was a weird one. I don't know if you saw on the screen. Don't know if he just clipped the inside curb, but he's out as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of our Tier 1 drivers out already in this qualifying session.
It's not normally a place where you go off at Eau Rouge.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's just.
If you do go off at Eau Rouge, it's normally backwards at the top of the hill.
Yeah. Oh, call me the brave, doing a couple of power slides there. People really struggling to find the right traction. I wonder if we're in for a dry session and people have been forced to put on dry setups for this wet quali, and they are really struggling to get the control.
Yeah. Well, it is with this place as well. You can easily overtake around here so quickly.
Yeah, and, you know, we've talked about this game a little bit and the different setup choices. This tends to be a draggier game, tends to favour a slightly higher downforce setup, but round here, that's where you want to take a little bit off, if possible. That Camel Straight, if you've got 5 or 6 notches lower on your wings than somebody in front of you and they don't have DRS or ERS, you can make the move well before the turning in point, can't you? And I think that's where we see a lot of drama tonight.
A lot of people have said that a lot of people do quarrel that the DRS is quite powerful here, especially at the top of that hill. That's why not a lot of people say it's a good idea. But yes, as I was saying about going on with Eau Rouge, you either it's not flat here, especially in this wet, or it wasn't flat a few years ago when back in '99 when Villeneuve Zonta decided let's have a bet and see who could go at the top of Eau Rouge flat out. You could probably guess how the results went.
Yes, no, I've heard of that infamous story. Gilles Villeneuve, maybe not the brightest bulb in the Jacques Villeneuve, not the brightest bulb in the box sometimes. I'm going to go on a lap with G-Star, who is on the inters, the track drying out. Now, of course, Eau Rouge and Radion. Eau Rouge is the bit at the bottom, isn't it? And Radion is the bit right at the top.
Yep.
Now, you know all the names. This is where I'm very bad. So we've just got Eau Rouge and Radion. We're down the Kemmel. What corner are we going into next?
The Les Combes chicane.
Oh, okay. So this is the right-left through Le Combes. I will try and remember this. Then this right-hander here.
I think that's Malmedy.
And then where's No Name? Are we coming up to No Name, or does it have a name now? Where
No
are we?
Name is the next one here, just after Rivage, which G-Star is going through now.
Rivage, and then this is No Name, where you've got the danger of the wall.
Yes. Yep. And now he's blasting down the hill towards Pouhon.
That's it, you see, they all merge into one. All these French-sounding names. He's done very nicely through there, G-Star. We'll keep an eye on his time as well. I would expect it to come down. I think his first one was on the wets. Then we're through into this right-left. What's this section? Yeah.
Fagner chicane, if I remember correctly. And then he's just coming up towards Stavelot.
That's the one, we will see. So, this area up 3.175 seconds. So, yeah, this is a much better lap from G-Star. Would put him pole.
Put him in the 56s easy.
Yeah. And then
this is Blanchimont. This is Guy coming towards Blanchimont now.
Blanchimont, yeah.
And then towards the last corner.
Yeah.
The bus stop chicane.
It's nice. Was there a bus? There must have been a bus stop back in the day, right? Or they wouldn't have called it that. Or
I would safely assume so, because the Belgian, back on some of the older layouts of the trackers, wow, that's a lap.
Yeah, that's a good lap, 156.1, straight into the lead. The Inter's definitely the best tyre. Chris Bailey, though, flies, goes a second faster than 155.1. Yeah, if you're out on track now, you want a pair of Inters. They are the best tyre. I'm going to stick on board with Lorpe. He went a little bit wide there, but he is up on his time by minus 0.6 seconds. That might get him fighting with Reese in third, but remember with Reese, I think he set that time on a set of wets, so he's got a lot more time to find, I feel.
I'm just sorry, I don't mean to laugh over.
Am I calling it the Camel? I'm calling it the Kemmel, with a K. That is right?
Yeah, it is right.
Although I would call it a Camel Straight as well, because just before it, you've got the two humps of Eau Rouge, so why not? Lorpe up into third place, with a 157.5, so he competed in Tier 2 earlier and is showing his chops with a top 3 at the moment, with time running out now. That track is drying out, 4 minutes left, probably got enough for 2 more laps. He has invalidated at the start of that one, so he'll have to get around pretty sharpish if he wants a chance. On board with... Sorry, go ahead.
Although I was going to say, you can overtake at this place pretty easily, as I know certain quite famous Germans won here quite a few times.
Who's that? A Michael Schumacher a couple of times, yeah?
Yes, it has been, and he won here from 16th on the grid the one time for his Benetton, back in his Benetton days. Oh
wow, that's fine. The iconic Schumacher moment that is driven into my skull forever is because I'm a Damon Hill fan, him charging down the pits to angrily confront a David Coulthard about how dare you stay in a straight line whilst I'm driving down a certain straight and trying to get out of the way.
Actually, where Kaiser Soze is.
Oh, where's that? Oh yes, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, just that little bit in between. I mean, that day was... They don't race in the wet anymore, do they? I feel like nowadays that race should have been cooled off. The amount of spray that those cars were kicking up. David Coulthard had an absolutely awful race, really struggling in his McLaren.
The funny thing is with that race was that this season before, and this is the first time they actually did it, they started that race behind the safety car. And the 97 race was a lot drier compared to the 98 one.
Yes,
and that was a normal start. So
yeah, decisions. Aerovoice is going 2 seconds quicker up on his time, up into 4th place. You missed it, but Red Car Rambo, excellent lap from him, up into 3rd with a 156.4. Track really drying out now. I think you are starting to see that the Inters are coming into their zone. Bit in 5th place as well in that pink Alpine. Kaiser Soze, we were just focusing on him with it. He's going to cross the line. P2 there with a 155.4.
Got time for 2 more laps, I think.
Yes, yeah, we're really seeing the drivers push. And those ones that went out early in the session, they'll be kicking themselves because they will find themselves a long way down this grid. There's chances for people to make a name for themselves here. I know Ant desperately tries to do as a last to first challenge. Just qualify for once, Ant. He's in P11. He's not doing too badly.
And for once, he's actually on the right tyres for qualifying.
Yes, he is. Reese Whitcomb, are going to stay on board with him in P8. He's up half a second on his Sector 1 time. Wonder how much more he can get off. He was right at the top of the pack on the wets early on, but now he has to find the time on these Inters as well. Let's see what he can do as we are ticking down. As that clock ticks down past around about, 2 minutes now. This is last lap territory. G-Star Snipes going top. Yeah, with a 153.9. I think he is just 3 lap old Inters. He is just doing laps, isn't he? He's getting used to the track. That's how I always qualify in the wet. You want to stay out for as long as possible and get used to the track, get used to the traction. His confidence is just growing, and that's got him a well-deserved P1 as it stands. Reese, though, that second sector, I said he was up minus 0.5 seconds. He's up 3.5 seconds on his time. That would get him up at the front row. I think that would put him in P2 at the moment. But how much more time has he got in this car at the moment? He is zooming along to the last section now, into the bus stop chicane. Put it all on the line here, so much to risk. If you get too early in the traction, you can just spin out the back end, but he doesn't seem to have done any of that, and it's going to be across the line, straight line. What's it going to be? Yes, it's pole. Wow, those lap times just kept coming down crazy and crazy and crazy. You can see that he's purple in Sector 1, 2 and 3, and that is pole at the moment with just 50 seconds of this session left remaining. Let's see what Chris Bailey can, or what Kaiser Soze can do. He's up a second on his usual time, but is he... Oh no, I didn't wonder if he was... There's P4, yeah, with his time, just pulling over to the side. G-Star down 0.297 seconds. LRL went across the line there as well, and he is P2 there with a 153, but Reese Whitcomb remains the only one who can break that 150, get into the 152s. Let's stay on board with Chris Bailey. It says he's on purple Sector 2, yeah, he's got minus 1.8 seconds, so again that will get him in contention for the front row. How much more time can you get in this section? We've seen people, I think Reese was made about 2 seconds up in the second sector. He made up another 0.5 there. Bit goes into third there with a 153.7. Times are tumbling. The later you stay out, the more time you're going to remain. The session is up, so this will be Chris Bailey's last lap. The checkered flag is out. Where is it going to be? It's going to be pole position at the moment, the 152.3. But can he keep it? Because as I say, these times keep tumbling. We're going to have to go on board with a couple of other drivers. I think Kaiser Soze pulled out. Yeah, he's down 10 seconds, so he won't be going. Bit is up minus 2.79 seconds on his lap. LRL is out of the session. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2. I think that might be his race over.
Yeah,
so,
bottom of the hill.
Yep. Reese Whitcomb has invalidated, so I'm going to stick on board with Bit. No, it says that he is... he's got 1.2 seconds down on his time, which isn't what he wants to see. Red Car Rambo there, just across the line, and loses it in the barrier right at the end there. Era Voice, he's up 1.4 seconds. Is going to be his last lap. Is that going to push him into the top 6 or 7? Let's see where he goes. 7th for Era Voice.
Yes.
Excellent for him. So he's down on his time. Ant is, yeah, he's up 4.1 seconds. I said, Ant, go on, qualify. See what you can do. And boy, he's trying it. Minus 5.9 seconds now. He clearly didn't get a lap in before this time. Is he going to snatch the pole position away from Chris Bailey right at the end there? I think he's going to have to make a lot of time up in this last sector if he wants to.
Especially his own teammate.
Yes. Chris Bailey, I wonder if they will be laughing about that or if he will be a little disappointed that this is the one time he's decided to qualify. Where's it going to be? Full beans here as he crosses the line. It's going to be a 152. It's not going to be the front row, but it's going to be 6th. P6. Very respectable time there. Bit still down, invalidated his lap, so I think he is the last one out on track at the moment. So this will be your starting grid.
still be happy with that qualifying.
Oh, precisely. Wet qualies always mix up the grid a little bit, and I think we've got a really topsy-turvy grid here. If you see who's in and who's out, we will wait for a bit to finish, and then we will take you through the final grid.
Although we forgot to ask the drivers, what's the weather going to be for the race? Sky Sports never paid the electric bill of the game for us, so we don't know.
No, we don't. I do like Martin's comment in the YouTube chat, which is this Hunger Games F1 edition? It does look like it's a battle of survival rather than one of racemanship at the moment. Fingers crossed that isn't the case in the race, and fingers crossed we get a dry race as well, because it tends to be a little bit cleaner. We saw the chaos that there was at the start of Tier 2. We don't want a repeat of Belgian 98 if possible, but let's just take you down the grid then. So we've got Chris Bailey P1, Reese Whitcomb P2, G Stein 3rd, LRL in 4th, Bit P5, very respectable from him, and in P6 he decided to qualify for once, Kaiser Soze P7, Era Voice P8, Law P9, Red Car P10, Nick BT in 11th, and then we've got the drivers that either DNF'd or did not set a time. So that's Bergen, J Sarge, Eddie Dust, Mark, Call Me the Braid, Ijoni, Jackster, BRD Calvin, and Kid Dynamite. A lot of very quick drivers outside the top 10 at the moment. Do you think they'll be able to fight their way through the field, or do you think the experience of someone like Chris Bailey will win the day when the main race comes around?
I would say keep an eye open for the very fast gentleman coming up from the back, but it's hard not to see possibly Chris winning at the moment.
Yeah,
Chris
will want to run up the road and get away as quickly as possible. It does look like we've got a dry race at least for the start, so let's see who was running a wet setup in quali, and they might suffer during the race, and who was on dries. Could mix the field up a little bit more. We will just go round the formation lap in a bit when all the cars are ready, and we'll see what tyre strategies people are on. Usually you're pretty basic one stop here. I think it'll just be a question of if people start on the mediums or the hards.
It should be, yes, because the softs, unfortunately, as much as we love them so much because they make our car so very, very fast, they will last us the longest wet tissue paper around here.
Yes, this track is usually one that's very hard on tyres. Even in the older games, I remember it was one where I was finishing most races with my tyres very yellow or very orange indeed. If we get a few safety cars, that might reduce that risk around here, but for the moment, it'll just be a question of if you start on the mediums or the hards, and when you go to pit, because there's always the option of a safety car around here, because it's very, very quick. Let me just bring up the tyres as well. So we've got, Chris Bailey starting on the mediums, Reese on the hards, and it's mediums, 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 all the way down to Ant, the tyre whisperer there in P6. We said that the softs won't last very long, but if there's one person who can nurse those tyres through this opening sector, it will be him. And everybody down to Bergen on mediums, J Sarge on the hards, Eddie Dust starting on the softs as well, and then a good mixture of hards and mediums down to the back. We've got a few different driver liveries as well, so I'm going to take us through because we've got the F1 cars. Bailey, I believe, is in the Merc there. That's a pretty accurate recreation there. Reese Whitcomb, you have got a Alpine design available, but he's gone for his own, and I really like that one. That one looks spicy. G-Star with a red and black. That looks like an angry, I'm going to guess, is it an Alfa or a Ferrari? I'm going to say Ferrari.
What, G-Star?
Yeah, G-Star.
Yes, I think he is the Ferrari, yes.
Yeah. LRL in the Williams, nice and simple for them. Bit with the pink Alpine as well, nice and simple. Ant is in the other Merc, and that's a good job there. Mixing it up a little bit. Might give Merc a couple of tips for next year's livery design. Kaiser Soze, I'm going to say that is a Haas, a good mixture of greys, blacks and reds. Iravoice in the Alfa Romeo, nice and simple there. Lorpy, that looks like an Alpha Tauri for me. If it's ugly as sin, then it's definitely an Alpha Tauri, and I think he's done an excellent job of making that car look as horrible and as undrivable as possible. Red car, white and red. Ooh, Alpha or Haas?
I think he may be a Haas.
Okay, we'll call him a certain Haas hole tonight, but he always is, no matter what car he drives. We'll see how he goes tonight. Nick BT with the... Now, is that an Alpha Tauri? We've got about 1 million Alpha Tauris. That's my problem here. Bergen, possibly an Alpha Tauri as well. J Sarge, Mercedes, easy. Oh, sorry, McLaren, easy. Thank you. I get those two mixed up all the time. Eddie Dust, Williams, nice and easy. Mark in the Aston Martin. That's a nice one there. Call me the Brave in the Alfa Romeo as well. Ujoni, that's Ferrari, but he is the Italian in the Ferrari. He always is. Jackster in an Aston Martin as well. Very nice livery there. Calvin is... Let's see, yeah. Calvin and Kidd are the last ones to make up the grid. I've probably forgotten...
Is a Haas.
We've got about 4 Hasses. I've probably forgotten an entire F1 team exists.
Kidd's Red Bull.
That's it. I forgot Red Bull exists. Blimey. They're just out front all the time. I forget about them. But we're about ready to go here. We've got 4 lights, 5 lights. Chris Bailey's ready to go. And we are away at the start. That's a good one from Bailey. Reese Wickham's there. We've got a lot of cars coming up at the top. I think LRL's made an excellent start. So has Ant on those softs. Up a few places already. Chris is through the first turn nice and easy. But it's G-Star. We've got all those cars together now. Is anybody going to try and go side by side through Radiant and Eau Rouge? We might get LRL and G-Star. LRL making the smart decision to form a safe line behind the car. A little bit of a twitch there from G-Star though. Goes wide and it's going to allow LRL through up into P3. A lot of scrapping at the start, but no big dramas, and everybody's got through that first section with all their carbon fibre intact. Well done, boys.
Yes, it looks like there's going to be a little... Cars going wheel to wheel, looping J-Star straight through the chicane.
Yeah, we've got Bergen going a little bit wide. I think he's lost a couple of places. Just go offline a little bit at the start, and suddenly you get so many people past as we go down 3 wide here. Anybody
trying to go around the outside of Raj on Souza.
Yeah, a lot of scrapping here, just staying on board with Bergen, who's unfortunately falling down the field. Mark there, Kid Dynamite already up into 16th. He's going to go, I thought he was going to go side by side. But no, he manages to keep it nice and steady. Excellent racing so far from these Tier 1 boys. Nice and clean, that's a car off! Who was that going off? I think it's Bergen. He just seemed to get up on the curbs. Thankfully, I can't see any damage on his car, but that looked scary. He was going very quick, couldn't get the anchors out. Thankfully, I think he was just able to avoid the barriers. Right at the top, I think we've got Nick BT very close behind Ant. I think these timing screens just need to sort themselves out a little. J Sarge and Kaiser Soze going side by side into the bus stop. Who's going to be the... Yeah.
Got Carl as well.
Yeah. So I think there was a little tap as well from Aerovoice on Carl behind, and he's lost his front wing and he's gone straight into the pits. Luckily, that was the perfect place if you are going to get damage. You can go in there. So he's had to take an early bath, as they say, and we'll see what pits and what tyres he comes out. Kaiser Soze also in the pits of to the hard as well. Or maybe it was Kaiser Soze who made the hit, not Aerovoice.
Yeah, he's the only car on the box.
So timing.
Mr. Bailey has run for the hills.
It is, yeah. Reese Wickham and LRL going side by side, but I think LRL, who's got the slightly skinnier car, and he is up into P2. Excellent driving there from the Williams man. He's strong all season. You can never let him go, and the fact that he had such a good qualifying. This is a battle we see a lot in MRCX, actually, Chris Bailey and LRL, back there or thereabouts. Bailey really wants to make the most of it, and it's Mark's out. That's a yellow car, and I think that's going to bring out, yes, it has, a full safety car. Let's see where it is on track. Goodness me, a lot of that car. I think he seemed to just lose it after that right-left, that chicane at the end of the Camel Straight, as I'm going to call it.
Camel Straight, yeah. Sorry. No, it's a shame that it's happened to Audrey. It's a shame because as you say, I don't know whether he spun it, whether there was contact.
Yeah, seems to be struggling a little bit, unable to set a time in quali, falling back the field a little bit, and I think he'll just be looking forward to the next season that he can get off at a better start. So it will be a full safety car, full lap caution here. We've only got Kaiser Soze right at the back and needs to catch up to the rest of the pack. So we'll see if the game gives us 1 lap or 2 of safety cars. But luckily for us, I've gone on google.com and I've got a few facts about Spa. So would you like to hear a couple of Spa facts, Andrew? And see if you can get any right. Okay.
I would love to, thank you.
So studies have shown that how many minutes in a hot tub per day can result in an 11% drop in stress hormones? How many minutes?
I think you probably read the wrong spot.
What? This is... right. This is about soaking and weight loss, leisure pools... Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I've made a terrible, terrible error. Right, just vamp for me. You've got some Spa facts up your sleeve, haven't you?
Yeah, I mentioned some of the ones I've had earlier with what happened in '98, and as it was Simon mentioned earlier, 2021 was a complete and utter mess because they raced for practically 2 laps.
Yes. Yeah, no, that was... If you think of all the odd thing, and of all the seasons to happen in, like where every point mattered and what could have happened on that day for the championship and all this, that and the other, the fact that that season had one race where we only had 2 laps because it was so wet and they couldn't do anything about it, absolutely bizarre. That 98 race as well, one of my favourite all-time races. It's a good underdog story, or at least it is until you sort of remember that Ralph Schumacher was very much quicker than Damon Hill towards the end of that race, and Eddie Jordan had to get
on the blower.
Yeah, on the blower with quite some team orders, and I think that's what... Did Ralph race the next season for him, or was that the thing that sort of split them up and got Michael to get his brother to move teams?
I think it was Michael that... I've heard actual facts from it that it was Michael who approached Eddie Jordan after the race and says, "I'm buying my brother's contract out."
Yeah.
which is ironic because 7 years ago, it was a certain Jordan team he made his debut for here.
Precisely, and the circumstances around Schumacher's debut are really weird, aren't they? Because he was a reserve driver, and I believe the guy who was meant to race was in prison or had assaulted a taxi driver or something to that effect, and that was the reason that they couldn't race in Belgium. I can't remember the name of the particular driver right now, but
I can fill in a little blank for you if you'd like.
Go on then.
His name was Bertrand Gachot.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. And if you think he's got a full-time drive and we've never heard of him, right? The fact that it took something as odd as that for Michael Schumacher to get his big break in F1, and he performed to such a degree. It was in, am I right in thinking it was in that iconic 7-Up liveried Jordan as well?
Yeah. I've just noticed as well, anticipating because he's had a little contact in his front wing.
Ah, right. So yeah, I don't know if that happened under safety car conditions or just before. I can't remember if that he's passed the pits once or twice, but he will get him off of those softs. He's gone onto a pair of mediums, so I don't think even he can get those to the end. So
he'll be pushing it.
Yeah, so he'll be struggling. If it was a hard set of hards, he might have done, but mediums for now comes out in P15. That's okay. Yeah, if you think of all these odd incidents that happens, people getting their big break, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. If you think of Alex Albon with his surgery, that gave Nick Prix his big break and got him a chance in F1. Didn't work out for him quite the same way. Danny Ricciardo in that freak accident that's just broken his hand has given Liam Lawson his big break, and boy, he didn't take long at all until he scored his first points, and he looks like a real potential talent. A lot of... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I hope to see him back on the grid, but it was actually another name that's on the F1 grid currently. That's a little fact going back again with Schumacher's debut. They actually paid for him to drive to do that drive with Jordan.
Who was that?
It was he was part of the Sauber sports car team at that point. Was Michael?
Ah, okay. So he wasn't even meant to be. Sauber just saw an opportunity to get one of their drivers out there and a bit of talent, and boy did he deliver.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him afterwards though.
Yeah, Michael Schumacher kind of faded away in time. I'm sure if you look down in the history books, the annuals, you'll find his name somewhere.
Spewing over quite a lot of records.
Yeah.
But, he only ever did one race for Jordan. He was snapped up immediately the next race by a certain other Italian, Mr. Flavio Briatore. And as we say, the rest is history.
Yes. Lots of success with that very quick Benetton, or at least Schumacher made it look very quick for a while. We've got the safety car in this race, though, in this lap, thankfully. So we've had first 4 laps, a little bit muted, but we will get back to racing very, very soon. We will go on board with LRL just to see how Chris Bailey controls the speed of this pack and when he's going to go. Tricky one, I think, here to go, because if you go too soon down this straight, then it's really easy for somebody to catch you up through the bus stop. You can only really go after the bus stop chicane, so I think it's one of the more predictable places for where you can go under a safety car.
Yeah, that's probably the best place you can do it, halfway through the bus stop.
We will see, though, when Chris Bailey is going to go. Is he going to wide line out of there? Yes, and he's away. And he hasn't kept LRL sleeping as such, but he's got a nice gap of 0.7 seconds as Reese Wickham is just 0.4 behind. We will hair down to this tight first corner. Such a short start, finish straight here, but a couple of moves at the back. Kaiser Soze making a move on Ant there at the back. He's up into P15 as we race along through Rouge and into Radion. These cars just trying to get those tyres warmed up once more. You don't want to push it too soon and lose it through that corner. I'm going to go back through the field because Ant and Kaiser are having a right old ding-dong there. Ant's got Kaiser back, but is it Eddie Dust who's going to make the move as we go down here? And side by side. Yeah, he's got Kaiser Soze. When's he going to swing on the brakes? Has to slight tap with Ant, but everybody manages to keep it all under control there. Really on edge stuff from him, but it is Eddie Dust in P15, Ant in 14th, Kaiser Soze in 16th. Call me the Brave going backward through the field at the moment. Don't know, he's got damage or slightly offline. I think he's just got slightly offline, and other cars are forcing their way through. Joni up into P11. We said he's our Tier 1 champion. He was starting from the back of the grid, but he's wasted no time going up to P11. Let's just bring up the details of the position changes at the moment. Yeah, Kid Dynamite up 10 places, up into 10th place. The Journey up 6. Trackset up 5. Call Me the Brave up 4. Biggest losers at the moment, unfortunately. Ant down 8. Kaiser Soze down 9. And Red Car down 7. Bergen also down 7. I think all of those did decide to take an early pit stop as well. Under that safety car, will repair a little bit of damage. So, yeah, we've got a couple of options here. Let's see the tyres up and the interval. Chris Bailey had that sort of cushion right up the top. He got a second gap. Doesn't look like he's going to have this privilege next time round, because LRL is all over the back of him, and yet LRL's gone purple.
There's going to be a very big DRS train at the top of that hill, I think, this lap.
Well, yes, at the moment. So DRS, is it going to be active this lap or the next one?
I think it may be the next one, I'm not sure.
That's alright, I will just stick on board with LRL. I'll keep looking back as we go past the DRS zone. Anything? No, LRL's flaps are well and truly closed. So, yep, they will have another lap here. So for G-Star, on that medium compound tyre, he has to stay within the 1 second window, or he is going to lose out. Aero Voice and the Aero Voice through. I think Lorphy was looking at a move. He's got this wonderful helicopter shot, as you can see, through all of the drivers and their positioning on track. Dynamite thinking of a move up the inside. There's so many cars. Oh, had to be evasive action there for Joni, who sort of outbroke himself and had to go off the track. So, yeah, he's going to lose out a little bit. But we've got Lorphy and Kid Dynamite side by side as well as they go through No Name. It's a very brave move there from Lorphy. Somehow managed to keep together, and Kid Dynamite is still 24. Oh, you J-Sarge!
Oh, Sarge!
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. We just came to the aftermath of it. Seemed to be contacting him and another driver. I can't see any damage on that car, but that's really messed his race up all the way down in P16 now. He'll have to have a bit of a recovery drive from the back.
He just needs another safety car and he's back in business.
Yep, and they can happen round here. This place is very high speed. Just one sort of tyre on the grass, one little mistake, and it can bring out a big accident and another safety car, as we've got Reese
destroying at the bus stop.
Yes, I wonder if he thinks I've got to get this move done before the DRS train starts, but that battling has really brought G-Star back into it. That top four now, all within a second of each other, so they will all have DRS as we come up to the straight. Nick BT falling behind a little bit, just 0.4. There's a big gap there back from him to Hero Voice. Joni has made the move, or is trying to make the move on Lorphy as they're going side by side. Now this is the scary bit. One of you has to give way before you go through Radion and Eau Rouge, and I think it's Lorphy who's going to do it, yeah, because you do not want to be going side by side up through Eau Rouge. That's where big accidents happen. Everybody's got through there safely.
Yep.
Kid Dynamite I'm going to stay on board with. He's got DRS on bit. Who's got the skinnier car? He's got the move done already, and Joni is thinking of saying, yeah, I will try and get that place too. Battles his way through there. Yeah, opportunistic, but
Brave's going to have a go as well.
Goodness me, yeah, Bit's just getting swallowed up. It's going to be the Brave going to make the move on the inside here. They're going to go side by side through No Name. It's just forcing Bit off the racing line, and yet we can't do anything. Yeah, excellently up into P9. So a disastrous few corners there for Bit falling. He was up in P7, now he's down in P10. Real bunch up of the field here as we see cars going wide through here, and is also going to look, is he going to go around the outside there? That's an outrageous move, and he gets it done up into P10. Eddie Dust also gets the move done on Bit. These cars slightly fresher tyres as well. They all came into pit on fresher mediums. Maybe that's the difference already. As we said, this place does chew up tyres. Jackson with a 3-step second time penalty, so easily done here. You don't want to rack too many of those up and have a late safety car. But yes, it's all happening at that red car on Bit as well. I don't know if he's got...
Eddie Dust, Round Blanchimont.
Oh, goodness me. Yeah,
Wheel
that's...
to wheel.
That's a place to do a move, isn't it? And is Eddie Dust going to have a move on the Alpha in front of him? He is thinking about it, pulls out, but it is all happening here. They'll be lining up a move on Copy the Brave. We've got a yellow flag that's in sector 3, but that goes away quite quickly. Just going to go back up the top. Oh, Eddie Dust.
He's back in the pits again.
Yeah, that's a shame for him. Going to go back up the top. I think LRL is just too far away from Chris to think about a move yet. I think he'll just be conserving his ERS for now. Yep, no move from him, so I'm going to go back down the field. Kid Dynamite and Aero Voice. Kid Dynamite once again with the ERS, as does Ijoni. Is Ijoni thinking about the double move? No, he doesn't, but Aero Voice was up in P6, and you can see the difference DRS makes down there. Fallen back to P8 there. Oh, that's a big one!
Oh, it's a big crash. It's Eddie Dust.
Yeah, and that's going to bring up just a virtual safety car. Goodness me. Just saw the back of that. It seemed to be a little bit of, I don't know, wheel banging. Cars were side by side, and Eddie just got absolutely pinged off into the wall. Violent contact there, and there was nothing that he could do. So that's brought out the virtual safety car, just neutralised the field. That's not what Kaiser Soze wanted. He wanted the full. And at the debris and everything caused, I'm surprised that that isn't a full safety car. We'll just have a slight pause in proceedings now as our field has been reduced to just 18 cars, and we have 15 laps left of the Belgian Grand Prix.
I'm going to keep an eye on some of the front lots, see if they pit or not.
Yeah, what would you do? Do you think now under the virtual that you would save enough time and that you could go on the hards for 14 laps? Or DRS is enabled already then? Yeah, no, so good job.
Speed we go.
Yeah, I think that made up people's minds. Reese, yeah.
LRL.
He was looking very opportunistic there, wasn't he? And
very cheeky little look.
I think the thing that's working in Reese's favour as well, we haven't really mentioned it yet, but he is on a set of hards and he is keeping up very well with this set of medium runners. If he can, once he's on the mediums and the other forced onto the other compounds, if he can make the mediums fire up, then he might escape up the road.
He might do.
I will keep on board because they're all a bit bunched up. DRS will be available straight away. I think the one problem Reese has got is that he's just got to stay in his DRS train. LRL can make the move on Chris Bailey. They're going to go side by side into the chicane, and it's LRL who comes out just in front, but no.
Chris has got it.
Yeah, Chris Bailey kept his nose in all the way. That was very, very clean. And they just stay as they are right up the top. Ijoni did get past Kid Dynamite as well. I think that was going to happen down that straight with the DRS. Era Voice is trying to hang on to the back of Ant, but I believe that he's lost the position as well. Kaiser Soze is out the session. That's a DNF. Is that in the pits?
He's in the pits, though.
He's in
the
pits
by the looks of it.
So there won't be a safety car. He's decided to call it a day. That's his Tier 1 Season 11 over for him. He will take no further part. 17 cars remain. And we'll see what happens.
Sarge lining up, keeping an eye on Bergen and Jackster up ahead of him.
Yep, nice little battle at the back there for the last few positions. Every position counts, even if it's not for points. There's a lot of pride on the line here as well in this last race, and he'll be doing everything. I'm just going to go back up to the front there because that is ridiculously close as they head down into the bus stop. Is LRL going to make a move? He's thinking about it. He's got the extra braking zone as Chris defends on the inside. They are nose to stern through here, but everybody's keeping it very, very chill. And Nick BT goes into the pits from P5. He's the first of the medium runners, I think, who's decided that he's going to switch to the harder compound of Dyer. And just a little tap there. I don't know if it's a tap from behind, but he lost traction, and that means that Reese Whitcomb is through, and G-Star is side by side. They're not going to go side by side through Bouillon and Eau Rouge, are they? No, LRL backs out. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there. Yeah, I just saw a bit of carbon fibre fly off. I think he's lost a little bit of an end plate as well, so that's going to affect his downforce as well, which is going to be crucial through this.
Yes, left part of the front wing.
Yeah, so crucial. He'll be fine down the straight, but in Sector 2, he'll want to try and keep up with the rest of the route. If he can't, he'll want to get in and change that front wing as soon as possible. And as we said, you can't cut that man out on the hards up into P5. Him and Kid Dynamite keeping very close, and a big shout out to Ant as well. He's up into P7. He's joined the rest of that very speedy train. I think all of those runners were a little bit further down the field than they should be. So those three will be a fun little battle to watch as well.
Definitely.
So we've just seen Nick go into the pits onto hards. That brought him out into P14. Do you think any of these front runners should go into the pits now? Do you think the undercut here is going to be more powerful, or the overcut?
I honestly don't know, but it's not a very long pit lane here, being honest.
Yeah, no, you can make it. You can make strategies work around here if you are bold and if you are brave. The one thing Nick might regret, not only did he just pick up a 3-second time penalty trying to push here, but getting out of the DRS train, you do make up a lot of time if you are in the DRS. All of them, Chris, Reese and G-Star staying out. LRL, he's dipped into the pits. I think that front wing damage, he'd fallen away from that front four battle. He was out of DRS. Had to make the stop.
The thing with Nick BT as well, he's in, as you said, he's out of the DRS train, but he's out of a lot of traffic at the moment. He's got a lot of free track up ahead of him.
Yes, and can he make up that time? Was he being held up by that group, or was he barely hanging on for dear life? That's the question. Reese Whitcomb, 0.5 seconds away, but you can make up so much time on the straight with a little blast of ERS and DRS, but nothing going. So we'll go back to Kid Dynamite and Ant. Is one of those going to make the move on Ujoni? Ant is thinking about it. Maybe did, but no moves there. J-Starge and Rambo. J-Starge got that move done so early. Redcar is just a sitting duck on that straight. So good recovery drive from J-Starge. So it was Bergen who he passed, because Redcar's a little bit further up the road. So as J-Starge up into the points, up into P9, Bergen P10, Jackster still hanging on there in P11.
Still, that Alpine is chasing that Mercedes.
Yeah, and I do wonder if the mediums are starting to get to their crossover point. They've done over half the race now, and I think the game would probably suggest 10 laps on the mediums. Is that right? Just so you get 10 lap mediums, 12 on the hard.
Got to remember as well, the race fuel start as well would play havoc as well with the tyre wear.
Yes, so maybe they've got a little bit of difference, but Reese is looking incredibly racy here. Is he going to go for a move at the bus stop? He can. He's lining it up. Chris is defending the inside line, but Reese is just going around the outside. The outside will turn into the inside, the switchback, and he's got that move down. Excellent. Oh, a little bit. He lost it under traction, got squirrely. But he will have DRS just for a little bit into the first sector. Chris won't. Will Chris take him right back? Has he saved up enough energy to do it back up the hill? Or is he going to struggle? Is now the time for one of these two to pit? Do you want to do it on the same lap? I think it's vital for Chris that he splits the strategy a little bit. Nick BT, we said, had he picked too early or that, he has just gone purple with a 147.3. So, we will see how the undercut works out for him. Nick BT came out... Yeah. Nick BT did come out. I know LRL probably had wing damage, but LRL was up in that big pack.
He's up to 4th.
Oh, yes, he is. Ant and Kid fighting it out. Nick BT has pit. Nick BT has passed Bergen as well. Those new tyres are doing amazing things for him. Yeah, he's really got them in the operating window now. And I think it would be very interesting if I just change to see the gap between the leader. He's only 16.7 seconds behind the leader. So if they pit and it takes, 18 seconds to pit for any of those top running drivers, he'll be out in the net lead of the race with a 3-second penalty. Unfortunately, that's the big thing, big strike he's got against his name. Again, 3 seconds as well, just that mid-group really pushing. And it doesn't take much around here to just go over a white line and invalidate your lap and get a warning against your name just over halfway. I want to keep it to 3 seconds and not add another 3. Chris Bailey once again, are they going to go side by side into the bus stop, lines it up? No, he decides he's going to keep it sensible. And any of them into the pits? Nope, they keep going. All 3 of them just keep going. Calvin picking up another 3 seconds there. Let's just bring up penalties. Oh, so he's on the hards, right? Yeah, penalties. So yeah.
So you thought he would have gone straight, but I bet he's going to try and go for the free track.
Yeah, he might go for the free track. Nick PT, another fastest lap, a 1:46.3. So yeah, we were talking about the power of the undercut here. He seems to be making it work at the moment, but Chris Bailey is going side by side with Reese Wickham. He's got that move done so early as well, so I think Reese isn't going to fight it too much. And that is the lead of the race so far for Chris.
I wonder if Chris trying to YOLO it and just go on to some softs at the end.
Well, it's either softs or trying to wait for a safety car, thinking that that might be what's going on. But the older these medium tyres get, the more he's pushing them to their limits, and he runs the risk of maybe a puncture or a spin. Big thing for him is that he's in the lead of the race. He doesn't care. But we talked about that gap, the interval, the gap between him and Nick BT was 16 seconds. Now it's down to 14.8. So every lap they stay out, not pitting, Nick BT is making up time and could take the net lead of the race. I think they've really got to watch out for him now.
I think they're going to have to, yeah.
Yeah. He's starting to run into a bit of traffic though, Nick BT. He's behind Red Car Rambo, who's on a set of hards, and he's got the red light flashing at the back. I think Nick BT will want to get this move done before the bus stop. Let's go right back up the top of the field, though, because the leaders are approaching the bus stop now. Who's going to press the trigger? Is one of them going to go into the pits? Chris Bailey goes into the pits. Yes. Yeah, Reese stays out, and G-Star stays out. So, yeah, Chris is the first one to blink there.
I think he's going to have to. Nick BT's coming up to the bus stop now.
Yeah, and he's made it past Red Car as well, so that was a nice, easy move. And yeah, you can see, I think, Chris hasn't even got his tyres on, and Nick BT is already the start-finish straight. Chris Bailey is going for the softer tyre, though. It's going to be such a difference between the delta between that and the hards will be a lot different. So yeah, maybe that's why he was pushing. He knew that he could get onto the softs and make up some time. But for the moment, he's going to have to make those softs not only last to the end, but he's going to have to pass Nick BT on track. The gap between them about 3 seconds at the moment, so not insurmountable, but Nick BT does have track position. Let's go back up top. Yes. G-Star trying to hang on to the back of Reese Wickham. I think Reese is in prime position now. Those hards will be feeling a lot better than those 13-lap old mediums and 10-lap old mediums, just 4 seconds behind. We said it would be a struggle for him to take them to the end, but can whisper a few extra laps out of those tyres. I wonder if he will try the crazy strategy. Kid stayed out. Yeah, he was, Kid stayed out on those hards. I think he stayed out a couple more laps more than Ujoni, who is on the mediums. He did come out behind Chris Bailey, only by 3.6 seconds, and we all know that if anybody can make up that gap, our current Tier 1 champion can. He could be on a bit of a charge bit with 3 seconds of time penalties. A couple more drivers start to pick that up, becoming a little bit more common. The field really starting to spread out as well, and now is the time that we'll see more drivers come in. Lorpy's come in for a pair of softs, Jackson's come in for a pair of softs. All about it. Reese stays out, G-Star stays out.
Chris has got ahead of Red Car.
Yeah, Red Car suffering. The gap between those new softs and 10-lap old hards will be very, very stark indeed. And that gap now between Chris and Nick coming down to 2.5. Kid Dynamite's in the pit as well, so he's gone off the hards. Be interesting to see where he comes out compared to Ujoni, because remember, those two were stuck together. Ujoni hit about 2 laps before on the mediums, and Ujoni is already past. And gone purple. Yeah, Dynamite doesn't quite trust the soft strategy, but yeah, look at that. Ujoni, the undercut, very, very powerful round here. He's made up spaces. Kid Dynamite comes out behind LRL. Ujoni's jumped LRL, by the way. I know he had a front wing change, but LRL was up in that top 4 pack. So excellent recovery drive here from the Italian. G-Star is up into the lead, by the way. We missed that at the top, but it must have been down the straight. So now he's in the lead by 0.4 from Reese. Remember, these two yet to pit and still out on those tyres. But remember, he started on the softs, then went onto a pair of mediums. Technically, he doesn't have to pit again as long as he can make them last. Calvin also on 11-lap-old hards. I think he had to pit very early on, so he could stay out on those for a little while longer. He's got track position. Nick PT, though, 1 second behind. But Chris Bailey, we said that he would need to make up some time. Look at the gap between him and Nick PT now, down to under a second. And he is on the softer compounded tyre. He is on an absolute charge. Up 2.19 seconds on his fastest sector time, going purple. Incredible stuff here from the Englishman. G-Star and Reese. Oh, both of them into the pits. So our 2 race leaders, I think they were battling out into the bus stop chicane. We just saw the end of it. And both of them into the pits on the same lap. Reese will go into softs. I wonder if G-Star will go onto softs as well. That's red-walled tyre for him, yeah, and Reese. That's red as well. Chris Bailey with the fastest lap of the race so far with 1:45. He's passed those 2 who are out in front. He's going to have, who's that behind him? Who's he going side by side with? That is Nick BT. But I think crucially for Chris, he'll be able to defend because he is within the 1 second gap of Calvin in front. So he's going to see some nice flap action from both of them. Yep, that flap's wide open. I think that's going to be enough to help him defend down here. You can see Nick thinking about a move, almost about it, but no, he's not going to be close enough. And that is P3 on the road for Chris. He'll be feeling pretty happy about their strategy. But like you said earlier, it's how long you can make those softs last. Are we going to see them fall away dramatically as the race ends?
He's right on the back of Calvin now.
Yeah, and we were talking about the difference in tyre deltas. Calvin doesn't have to pit again, remember, but 12-lap-old hards and 2-lap-old softs. Ask Lewis Hamilton in Abu Dhabi 2021, 50p for anybody who wants to waited for me to make that reference, but the tyre difference between them is absolutely insane. And I think Chris is just biding his time, waiting for the opening, waiting for him to stray off a line, or thinking that he poke a nose up the inside and he will go up into P2, and is his teammate Ant. Remember, Chris and Ant, both the Mercedes tonight. He's the next one up the road that he has to catch, and yet he gets that move done super early, well before the first stop. Yeah.
Calvin's had a very strong race himself, though, up 16 places.
Yeah. Yes, oh, G-Star and LRL going side by side. Remember, LRL pitted way before G-Star and decided to go onto a fresh pair of hards. He was doing the medium hard strategy. G-Star made those mediums last a little bit longer, and he is up into P7. But Reese, remember, those two were together. Reese has made those softs work incredibly well. He's pulled out a gap of almost 2 seconds on the Ferrari man down in P7. So Reese is the one on a charge now. But we were talking about Ujoni and the pace he's got on those mediums. He has leapfrogged Reese and G-Star on by going in earlier and getting those medium tyres on. So for the moment, that undercut's still very powerful. I wonder if Reese and G-Star just stayed out 1 or 2 laps too long on that tyre.
There's a possibility.
Nick BT on hards will be going wheel to wheel with Calvin. I'll be keeping an eye on that delta between Nick BT and Ujoni. We've got a really interesting race now. And has 5-6 laps to hang it out the top, but that gap is coming down every single lap with Bailey.
I wonder if they're going to fight as soon when Chris catches up.
I wonder. I don't think Chris will allow him, and I think they're in a party together. They will want to keep it respectful. They're both very proud drivers, and is one of the best. But I do wonder if he's thinking whether he comes in for a pair of softs at the end. He just hangs it out there and thinks, yeah, I can beat drivers like Calvin and Nick. And I'm going to put my money that Ujoni, Reese and G-Star will not catch me up. I think he can defend from LRL, so I think anywhere up to P7, if he doesn't pit, is his. But it's how long those mediums can last. He's not coming into the pits anytime soon. They're going to keep on board. Reese Wickham and Ujoni going side by side. Reese through the bus stop chicane. The outside becomes the inside, and he just gets it done. And yeah, he gets DRS as well, so he's going to get a second blast. Yeah, fastest lap. He's really going for it now. I just wonder if he stayed out. How many laps did he stay out longer than Chris? Was it 2, 3? Oh, there's 2, isn't it? I can see the tyre difference. So his softs are 2 laps old. Chris's are 4. It cost him quite a few actual physical places on the racetrack, and luckily for him, he's got the DRS, so I think he'll be able to defend from Ujoni. That's what you need. Otherwise, you can very easily get swallowed up by the Italian, and a few people might enjoy that on a Monday night, but certainly not Reese in this situation. He's going to go side by side with Calvin. Calvin has to move out of the way. Those hards, they are rubbish now, aren't they? He is just falling back through the field as these people who pitted a little bit later just swallowing him up. He needed a safety car or something to save him, Calvin, to neutralise the field or keep him in bounds. But, yeah.
Another penalty for Nick BT, 6 seconds.
Oh, he doesn't want that. That's the other thing that he's got, isn't it? That, you know, if he wants to make this race work, he has to keep it clean. And Reese is going side by side with Nick. He's going for passes where, well, quite frankly, you shouldn't, but the tyre difference is making it so easy, and he is up into P3. And that gap between him and Chris Bailey now at 2.6 seconds. That's the gap that he will have to traverse. And he went fastest last lap. I wonder if he will go for the fastest lap this one as well, because he's been super speedy.
Definitely.
So Joni and Calvin as well. Sorry, you can't look away anywhere. Calvin is struggling to get through the field, and yet Joni gets that move done well before the bus stop up into P5, so you can't count the Italian out yet. And it's going to be G-Star Snipes behind Calvin as well on a fresh pair of softs. That's the last thing that he wants to see. Oh, thought about the move up the inside, had to back out. Little twitch there from Calvin. And I reckon even though Calvin might have, he will have DRS here, so that might save him. You can see how close to the gearbox G-Star is. That red light flashing away.
It's pushing Calvin up the hill.
He is.
Switch for the lead.
Oh, yeah, switch for lead. I was going to stick on board with G-Star. G-Star goes past, but yeah, you are right that Chris Bailey has caught his teammates on those 15-lap-old medium tyres. Those will be screaming, and Ant is down into P2. He might have a slight advantage here. Ant, he's on those mediums, but if he can place his car correctly, how long can he hold Reese Whitcomb up? That gap, was 2.6, if we go from the leader, still at about 2.5, so Reese is gaining at about a tenth a lap. The thing that Ant won't want to do is just give him... Oh, DRS, but there's a safety car. Bergen's off. Let's see where it is. Bergen's had a big moment here. Yep, he's in the barrier, just car disappeared there. That's going to really shake things up at the top now. So, Ab, Nick, Calvin, what do? You have to come in for a fresh pair of softs. What does everybody else do? Do they stick out? Or will Chris Bailey have memories of Melbourne, where he was the one who stuck on a used pair of tyres and everyone else behind him decided to pit? What would you do in this situation?
Ant is in a little bit of a bad position because he's going to be, if he pits, he's going to be lose track position like heck. Oh, never mind.
Chris is in. And Ant is in. And G-Star stayed out. Joni has stayed out. Reese Whitcomb has stayed out.
Chris is the Mercedes are going to drop quite a few positions.
They are. I reckon they're going to go 3. Kid Dynamite's going to stick out on those 5-lap-old mediums. He's going to make the jump. BT also in. Remember, the other tricky thing you've got here is you don't know who your teammate is with these F1 World Cars. So somebody might have been screwed. And seems Chris Bailey has done okay. He's into P5 and P6, so that worked out for the 2 Mercedes boys. Nick BT, P7, Calvin, P8, LRL, 9th. All of those on very fresh softs. So the question for those up the top, like Reese Whitcomb and G-Star, is how long is this safety car going to stay out for? Is it going to come in this lap or the next? This lap. So we'll have a 2-lap shootout.
Chris and Ant have caught right up to the back of him already.
Yeah. We'll have a ding-dong battle. So Yeah, no, just a couple more Spa facts while we're waiting. Spa was actually invented by the ancient Greeks, but then of course the Romans took that on board to help, and they built thermal baths and natural and hot springs. So once again, here with all your Spa fact actions.
Have you been getting Spa-Francorchamps facts off Lance Stroll again?
I have, yes. He's been feeding them. Daddy Stroll's giving me a lot of money for these Spa facts. Looking them through the YouTube chat. Joshua Manich giving us all the likes there. Thank you, Josh, for your kind support. B17 calling on Kaiser Soze, who unfortunately has DNF on this race. But he's late, but the Calvin fan club has arrived. Where's Calvin at the moment? Down in P8, and most crucially, he was falling back on those hard tyres. Now on a fresh pair of softs, I think he can make stuff happen here at the end. I'll be really interested to see some two of the best drivers in the league. We know how quick they are, former champions them both, Johnny and Kid Dynamite. They're the ones who stayed out on those mediums. If anyone can make the strategy work and defend for 2 laps, it's them. But I do wonder how aggressive we are going to see Chris Bailey. The big thing to remember is that DRS might not be available until very, very late on. There's the safety car coming in this
DRS will be available.
Yeah,
it won't come available again.
It won't come available again, so yeah, you're going to have to use all your ERS, so that's the big defending. So Reese is going to go, and we are here. Lorpy just got a 3-second time, only that's the worst place to get it. Reese Wickham, G-Star, Ujoni, Kid Dynamite, Chris. 2 laps to make history, 2 laps to try and get some pride right at the end of this season. Remember, the championship is over, but not this race. We will see them put it all on the line. Reese putting out such a big gap between G-Star, who can't seem to hold up. Remember, now is the time to spend your ERS if you've got it. Kid Dynamite and Johnny side by side. Is Kid going to make a move? They are wheel to wheel. Remember, we know DRS. Bailey's going to have to make a move. DRS has a wheel up the inside. Thought about it, but you can't outbrake the Italian, who managed to keep that car in line perfectly on those medium tyres. And they are still going for it. Oh! Kid tried to move down the inside, and did Chris go a little bit wide? No, Ujoni is still there. We've got this helicopter shot. Look at these two fighting out side by side. Somebody's going to have to let go as we go through this very quick left-hander. It's Kid who has to pull out. But then it's Bailey who says, no, if you're going to pull out, then I'm going to go round the outside. And this happened to P4 with an excellent move. And I think Big BT's also thinking of getting involved. There's a car off in the background. It's absolute chaos. That's J Sarge. Yeah. Oh, Nick, that's not going to help right at the end. He didn't want this safety car bunching everybody up together, did he? Because he's going to fall down through the field like a stone. But it is Chris Bailey, 1.5 seconds behind Ujoni, and he's got to make the move now. Ant's retired from the session. Got involved in something there. Chris Bailey has made it past Ujoni, so he's on the fresh set of softs. He's got 1.3 seconds to make up to Reese. G-Star in lead of this race with 0.5. Nick's coming back.
No, Nick BT coming back around the outside of him.
Yeah. So Nick BT might have 9 seconds of penalty.
Should win the traction race.
Yeah, really, really fighting. A lot of cars off in the back there. J-Sarge having to go very, very wide. Chris within a second now. So even though there's only 4 laps difference between these softs, he's got the speed, he's got the momentum, but he's still going to have to get past Reese and G-Star, 2 of these cars, and I don't think he's going to have the pace to do it down the Kemmel Straight. He's going to have to do it through sector 2 or sector 3.
Yeah, he's going to have to battery dump like mad.
Yeah.
But I've got a feeling the other 2 are going to be battery dumping like crazy too.
Yeah, so we've got that shot behind there. We're going to keep behind. Is Nick BT going to think of a move there? Last of the late breakers. No, he's right up the gearbox of Chris Bailey. He can't get it done. Ujoni and Kid Dynamite, remember they're the 2 medium runners. They've got LRL all over the back of them, but I don't think those 2 are going to live a roadblock. J Sarge up as well. Oh yeah, Chris has gone wide and Nick BT is...
Not a wheel with Nick BT.
Yeah. They can fight, remember, just because Chris has pens doesn't... Sorry, just because Nick has penalties doesn't mean to come out. G-Star's got pens as well. Can't remember when that happened. They've got 3 seconds. It means that Reese is all for the win here. All Chris has to do is pass Reese Whitcomb, and this win is his. but he's still got a lot to do. G-Star in the net lead of this race, going a bit wide. Chris has gone wide, and Chris is through. Chris is through, so at the moment he's winning this race. He only has to keep it in this position, and then he's won. G-Star with the penalties as well, but he'll want to take the win on the road. He's got his red light flashing at the back. He's got no ERS. He might have to defend like mad, but he might not care now if Nick gets past, because he knows Nick has the penalty. Reese is the one he's going to have to worry about. Just hit Dynamite at the end. There's been contact between him and Ujoni. Huge move around Blanchimont, and that's picked up J-Sarge, that's picked up LRL, so we might have a look at that in the stewards. Everybody goes mad. There's a yellow in Sector 3, but it's going to be G-Star across the line. Chris Bailey will take the win here. Reese Wickham will jump up those places, so we'll see all the moves start to shuffle out. Chaos there on the last lap as everybody went for a move. I think there was a slight tap between Kid and Ujoni, and a couple of other cars got caught up in it. Breathless end to that race. But Chris Bailey,
stunning into the season.
Yeah, made the right move at the end of the day to go on the soft, so you won't regret that at all. That pit. Kid Dynamite is our driver of the day. Yeah, Chaos, and who's your driver of the day?
As much as I can't disagree, I'm going to have to give it to Chris.
Yeah,
immediately, I said as soon, I thought this was a mistake. Well, that just shut me up.
Yeah, Chris made all the right moves in that race and deservedly gets the win. Was excellent in quali, but clearly didn't have a wet setup for that. Was able to get a dry setup and put it on pole. Nonetheless, kept his cool and pitted at the right time at every situation. I think even without the safety car, he would have taken that win. But we'll take you through the rest of the grid then as it stands. Stewards results impending. So we've got Chris in P1, Reese in P2, Kid up into P3 from starting on 20th of the grid. So excellent race from him. Can't count him out. G-Star down into P4, unfortunately, with those penalties. Call Me the Brave up into P5. Excellent race from him. Quiet one. I don't think we really mentioned him very much, but that's a very respectable finish from him. I think he was able to keep it clean and avoid those 3-second penalties. Calvin up into P6. Ujoni down in P7. Era Voice in 8th. Nick BT in 9th. And Redcar takes the last point scoring position up in P10. Then you've got Bit, Dragster, Lorpy, and LRL, J Sarge, Amt, Bergen, Kaiser Soze, Eddie Dust, Mark. All of those at the end, I think, from LRL down, all suffered a few DNFs or a couple of mishaps on the last lap. So we might be seeing a little bit of that later. Thank you very much for joining me, everyone who drove tonight, watched the stream, and to you, Andrew. It's a pleasure as always.
No worries, it's been a pleasure again. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for putting me right on my Spa facts, for my corner names, and my general bizarre way of commentating this race. It's been a pleasure. That's going to wrap it up here for MRC Tier 1, but we've got a couple more races as well to bring to you for this season. On Wednesday night, we've got Tier 3. There's still a championship be decided there, so do tune into that. Anything can happen. And then the Tier 4 boys will be showing us out of this season on Wednesday night as well. Thank you very much. Take care, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Take care, all. Bye.